Welcome back to Win the Day. In this episode, episode 22, we'll be talking about the power of motive and how you can use it to build momentum and get massive results in both your business and your personal life. Now, I'm warning you, this might be an emotional episode, but I'll do my best to keep it together if you promise to do the same. Before we start, I've got a quick announcement. I will be speaking at an event in Brisbane, Australia very soon. The event is called We Are Podcast and will be held on 30th of April and the 1st of May at the Pullman Hotel in Brisbane City, my hometown. It's a podcasting conference and has a phenomenal speaker lineup. So if you've got a podcast and want to leverage it to massive growth for your business, or if you simply want to explore how you can use the power of podcasting, grab your ticket and I'll see you there. This event is unique because the second day is a mastermind that will incorporate more than a dozen experts working on getting you results in your business immediately. So grab your ticket before they sell out. Go to wearepodcast.com. That's wearepodcast.com. All right, let's get into episode 22. The quote for today's episode comes from the great Napoleon Hill and says, "All individual achievements are the result of motive. All individual achievements are the result of motive." I first saw that Napoleon Hill quote when I was working on a brand new project, Andrew Carnegie's Mental Dynamite. It's a project that will be released later this year and I can't wait for you to see it, but that one quote stopped me in my tracks. All individual achievements are the result of motive. Although we're only 2 and a bit months into the new year, I started thinking about, what are the biggest achievements that come to mind for humanity this year? And achievements don't always need to be layer on layer, stacked on another layer that added up becomes a gold medal. The achievements that actually came to mind for me were in response to some type of tragic situation that rallied large parts of the community to help in any way they could. Shortly, we're going to go through a few of those achievements, but as we do, I want you to really think about how the power of motive was used to make these achievements a reality, because that's what the power of motive does. It makes the impossible possible. Now, motive means a reason for doing something, and when that reason is sufficient enough and directed to a clear outcome, massive results manifest. The first one we're going to talk about is the Australian bushfires. Now, my faith in the media has been waning for years after the constant bombardment of sensationalist and negative stories, but I was thoroughly impressed with how well they covered the bushfires. When these fires decimated the Australian landscape, killing an estimated 1 billion animals, the tragedy dominated the news. My family, my wife, my daughter and I travelled to Australia for the Christmas break during that time, and it was heartbreaking to see what was going on. Yet it was only when we returned to the US that I realised just how far and wide it had been reported. It was the imagery, the heart-wrenching videos and tragic photos that showed the extent of the destruction. 34 people perished, and this included international firefighters who had flown to Australia to lend a hand. This wasn't a movie, it was real life. And as people saw it, they felt it. And when they felt it, they knew they had to help. When people were given an outlet to help, they did. Individuals gave all they could with money, clothing, and other emergency supplies. Even companies like the UFC, based in America, donated $250,000 before dedicating an entire event to raising money for the fire relief. Aussie larrikin Shane Warne, who is also one of the greatest cricketers to ever play the game, auctioned his baggy green cap, which is like Excalibur for every national cricketer. At auction, it sold for more than $1 million, with all proceeds going to the relief efforts. Movie stars and business leaders, they dug deep, chipping in $1 million here and $1 million there. But the one campaign that captured people's hearts and is credited with kickstarting much of the larger donations that came in from around the globe was started by Aussie comedian Celeste Barber. What started as an effort to raise $30,000 ended up with more than $50 million in donations. One of the advantages of crowdfunding is that it often reveals who out of your friends has donated to a given campaign. Your Facebook feed would show that dozens of your friends had contributed to a certain cause. That's social proof. complemented with strong media support as well as influencer endorsement, created a snowballing effect, surpassing Celeste Barber's original goal by a multiple of 1,600 times. She also hosted the Firefight Australia concert that brought together some of the country's biggest musical acts and raised another $10 million. All proceeds from these efforts have gone to helping fire-ravaged communities get back on their feet and supporting the greatly depleted emergency services teams. Now, are the bushfires an achievement? Absolutely not. But the community around the world banding together to raise more than $500 million for the relief effort certainly is. It is a phenomenal result, all due to the power of motive. The second one we'll talk about is the story of Quaden Bayles. A few weeks ago, a heartbreaking video went viral around the world. It featured 9-year-old Australian boy Quaden Bayles in tears after being the subject of relentless schoolyard bullying for dwarfism. In the video, he asked his mum for a knife so he could kill himself. I think anyone who's a parent or anyone who's been the victim of bullying before would greatly empathise with how horrible that situation would be. That confronting video, which you've probably seen, quickly captured hearts around the world. And then American comedian Brad Williams, who also has dwarfism, launched a crowdfunding campaign with the aim of raising $10,000 for a single motive to allow Quaden and his family to enjoy a holiday to Disneyland. Again, that power of motive came into play and the crowdfund quickly raised more than $700,000. But it just wasn't cash that came through. In a video viewed almost 2 million times, actor Hugh Jackman said,
"Quaden, you are stronger than you know, mate. And no matter what, you got a friend in me. So everyone, let's please be kind to each other. Bullying is not okay, period. Life is hard enough. So let's just remember every person in front of us is facing some kind of battle. So let's just be kind."
I don't know Hugh Jackman personally, but I know many people who do. And by all accounts, he's about the greatest bloke on the planet, as that video suggests. And he's absolutely spot on with what he said. Life is hard enough as it is. And when we have no idea what other people are facing, we need to be kind. But rather than accept the trip, the Bayles family decided to donate all the money, more than $700,000, so it could go to charities that would raise awareness of dwarfism and help prevent bullying in schools. Like the Australian bushfires, this was a horrible situation from which emerged a wonderful achievement. For our final example, let's head to Africa. In northern Kenya, the Samburu, a mostly nomadic tribe, suffered a tragedy when one of their own, Pius Lenakukuya, became a quadriplegic through a freak accident. That accident left him with a broken neck and severe spinal cord injuries. Enduring something of this magnitude would be challenging enough in an urban first world scenario, but being in a remote part of Africa without access to medical care represented a burden that the Samburu tribe were ill-equipped for. Even if they were able to raise funds, like we've seen earlier with the bushfires and Quaden Bayles, their nomadic lifestyle and rugged terrain will be no match for whatever support came through. And being in such a remote part of the planet meant they were left entirely to their own devices. But my dear friend Janine Shepherd, who I'm sure by now many of you know, came to the rescue. Janine is not only a spinal cord patient herself, she's also spent a lot of time with the Samburu tribe in Kenya, and even knew Pius personally. Janine decided that something had to be done. Now you must realise Janine's superpower is that she doesn't take no for an answer. She doesn't take no for an answer. In fact, sometimes the word no fires her up even more so she can prove the doubters wrong. Janine leveraged her network and set out to do the impossible. She initiated a crowdfunding campaign while at the same time went to work finding medical specialists who would donate their time to fly to Kenya and help with Pius's physical therapy. Obviously, a very challenging goal to get people to fly to the other side of the world. The crowdfund surpassed Janine's goal of $25,000, with more than 400 people contributing. Her efforts even resulted in a physical therapist and a nurse traveling to Kenya to give Pius a month of intensive rehabilitation. What started as Pius only having movement of one arm has now resulted in him being up on his feet and learning to walk once more. While still an extremely long road ahead, those who rallied behind Janine's efforts, which was for a campaign she knew so much about after what she went through personally after being hit by a truck, have given hope to Pius and the Samburu. That is the power of motive. Yes, these are rather extreme examples, but you can leverage the exact same strategy in your own life right now. You don't need to be on the receiving end of some type of tragedy to do this. As Napoleon Hill said, all individual achievements are the result of motive. All individual achievements are the result of motive. Think about what's going on in your life right now. Perhaps you're launching a new product or company and need support. Well, what you need to do then is give your audience sufficient motive to support that product or that company. Perhaps you're looking for a promotion at work, but what you need to do is give your boss motive. Demonstrate that through your actions to give your boss motive to give you that promotion. That motive all but forces their hand, stimulating action in the direction that you want. Motive, that reason for doing something, when combined with a clear outcome, gets massive results. Motive means momentum. If you don't have motive, you are destined to stagnate. Weak motive leads to weak results, just as a strong motive can change the world. So think about what areas of your life you want different results in right now and explore the power of motive to make it happen. That's all for episode 22. Remember, if you're in Australia, get your tickets for We Are Podcast before they sell out. Just go to wearepodcast.com. Get out there and win the day. Until next time, onwards and upwards, always.